Well, boys and girls, I found a little time between games, beer, and jumping up and down on my wife, and I'm here for you now. It's all for you. I have a question for you, and whoever gets the answer right will get a free econo size bottle of Jaime's body lube. Imagine that. I'll send it to you in the mail for you. What was my favorite St. Louis Blues player of all time? That's the question. Write it down at the bottom, and it'll be a free bottle for you. St. Louis Blues is where we're at now. And it's pretty simple with the St. Louis Blues. They have a pretty stacked team for the most part, but the problem they have is the two most important positions that an NHL team needs, goaltender and centerman. Maybe you could put a stud defenseman there, but they're pretty good there. There's three main things you have to have. To have a big stud defenseman, big center, and a good goaltender, an excellent goaltender. For the case of winning a cup, you have to have one of the best. And the two positions, they have two of those three positions they do not have. Allen hasn't proven that he can be the type of goaltender that's going to win you a cup yet. Maybe he will, but they're really giving him the reins right now, and doing so on a win pretty much, because he hasn't shown so far that he's able to do that. He beat out Elliott, but how much does that really say? Elliott was pretty inconsistent himself. And the big thing has been the center position. They haven't had a number one center for, well, it seems like since like Adam Oates, or since Oates, anyways, Adam Oates. They haven't had one since. They brought in Stastny a couple of years ago, and it improved their center position, but he's not what you would call the prototypical number one center. They're stacked at D, and if I were them, I'd be looking at trading some of that to get a big centerman as soon as possible. Unfortunately, their trade pieces in that area are pretty slim as well, because they need them. Bouwmeester's making too much money. Perilko is a young defenseman. You just don't want to give those up unless you get something really fantastic. Shattenkirk is a free agent at the end of the year. You're not going to be able to get a number one for him. And that leaves you Pietrangelo. I personally would sign Shattenkirk and trade Pietrangelo. I know that's hard to say. I know he's a great defenseman, amazing defenseman, and it seems like that's the guy they want to rebuild around. I think you got Perilko there. I think you're okay. I think you can, if you can sign Shattenkirk and keep Perilko, and Bouwmeester's getting up there. But the rest of their D, Gunnarsson is pretty strong too. They have a pretty strong defense. They need a number one center. You might even be able to get a number one center and another young prospect defenseman out of that deal as well. If you can get Hall from Larson, yeah, I'd say you'd be able to get a number one center for Parelko. It's absolutely necessary that they do that. Hitchcock, the whole Hitchcock situation, I wanted to jump into that for a little bit. Saying that he's going to be ending his career at the end of this year, I find that very highly unlikely, and as you've probably heard from other commentators, that doesn't seem to be the case at all. I think he wants Hitchcock is a guy who wants to challenge himself constantly. He's a fantastic coach who demands a lot of his players, and he tends to wear on them over time. He did in Dallas, even though he won a couple of cups. At the end of it, I heard that it got to the point that the players actually hated him. I don't know if he's softened his approach since then, but maybe he sees that he's done as much as he can do in St. Louis. And maybe he also sees what I see, that they need to fill these holes, and they continue not doing so. I personally think that he's going to go to Las Vegas, and I think he already knows he's going. That would be a huge challenge for him, and that is something that Hitchcock want to do. Another reason why you got to get a center is because you have Tarasenko there, who might be one of the best snipers we've seen in this generation. He deserves a number one center. It basically is all contingent on that. St. Louis would probably be my pick for the cup this year if they had that center. There hasn't been a team win a cup without a number one center since Montreal way back in like 86, I think, like that. And you could make a case that they had a number one center, really, but he wasn't what you would call a prototypical. I think it was Muller. And don't quote me on that because I didn't go do any research on that because I'm lazy. Yeah. Anyways, I'm trying to keep these around 6 or 7 minutes because from what I understand from all the letters I receive, you guys have as much of an attention span as I do, and I can appreciate that. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday, watching lots of hockey. Love you, St. Louis fans, and I love the Blues too. So a lot of people don't like your name, but I love the Blues so much. I love it. That's my full 42. Have a great day, everybody.